Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, dive into the TA. All right, guys, so we did end up popping up through the highs today on SPY and QQQ, and then immediately we got sucked back down. All right, so we did test the 200 daily moving average. We did end up getting that pop, and I'm going to go over in this video why I think it's more probable than not that we do continue a little bit higher. I think we're going to test SPY's 200 daily moving average, which is slightly above where we are right now. I just think that is the most probable scenario out of what we are given across, the indices right now, and then the Mag 7 stocks. All right, so let's go over what we're going to watch for into tomorrow. All right, so QQ did test its 200 daily moving average, but SPY did not yet. And now that we are this close, I think it's probable that we do it. Tomorrow, if we do get above 568.38, we are going to look for continuation up to that 200 daily moving average, which, from today's close, that's only a 1.4% move. All right, so if we start breaking above here, we're going to start looking for that move, above 568.38. Look for 570.31, and if you can take out today's high of 570.31, it's very, very solid shot. You're just going to extend higher to the 573 200 daily moving average. Above there, you have 575.35. On the downside, if we take out today's low of 561.70, then we could be starting to get a larger pullback here. And if we lose here, chances are we're going to come down here and you're not going to hold here. You're going to be coming down to the next level of 553.68. So if you lose 561.70 tomorrow, start paying attention to 556.52, 553.68, and then 549.68. But again, the most probable scenario, in my opinion, is that we do continue a little bit higher and get up here. Does it come, with a little pullback here? Maybe we sweep the low here, print a lower wick, and then continue on our way. For tomorrow, close out the week strong. It can. We're just gonna have to wait and see what we what we get. But we are sitting right underneath that 200 daily moving average, and I definitely think it would make sense to do so. If we close out the week strong here, then we're probably gonna continue a little bit higher the following week, get up into this 570 to 575 to 585 zone up there. And that's what we got over here for SPY. You come over here to QQQ, and we got the same look. You popped up. Swept the high over there, 490.91, and we did finally test that 200 daily moving average. We were saying it didn't really make sense that we got so close and did not test it. We were going to test one of them, SPY or QQQ, before going lower. They're going to be acting as magnets. But now on the upside, we're going to pay attention to 490.91. Above there, we're going to watch 493.62 and then 499.70. On the downside, we're going to pay attention to yesterday's high at 485.80, and then we have today's low at 484.17. Lose 484.17, the next stop is going to be 479.56, and then 477.20. If that doesn't hold, then we have 472.91. And bulls really want to hold here. If we get a quick pullback here that then gets bought up, that would make sense over here. But if you don't hold here, at that point, if you come back down here, I think you're starting to lose it. I think it would probably go something like that. And then we would, start rolling over a bit more. That is what I think would happen if we lose this area. So, I think the more probable scenario is we don't test that area yet. We go a little bit higher with how things are set up, the Mag 7 stocks. And that is that. All right. So that's SPY and QQQ there. Let's come over here to VIX, guys. VIX didn't close out in a crazy bullish manner here. We can pivot off of this if we gap up tomorrow. That's your clue that maybe VIX is going to start bouncing a little bit more. And then if you see it take out today's high at 23.61, at that point, it's probably reversing off of here, and we're going to get a bit more of a bounce here on the VIX, which gives us that larger pullback on the indices. All right, so at the end of the day, this is the exact spot where we're in that spot. In the golden pocket, we're right next to the 200 daily moving average. This is where we are going to be looking for sellers to step in. We are now here. I just think we are going to end up going a little higher here. I do think upside is getting a little bit more limited. So, definitely be taking off your profits. If you play this, I've been pounding the table, throughout these 3 days right here of consolidation. And as of yesterday, we kind of got the signal that, we are going to probably break out the falling trading session. We're going to be hitting it with a 5 to 10% day one of these days. And that day was today. All right, so I hope you guys made money. I was pounding the table on this one. It was, you know, PLTR 2.0 over here. I gave you guys PLTR along the way. I actually gave it to you guys early over here, and then, you know, as we see, it broke out from this area. It sold down to a new low, and then this, what we just went over on Hood, this is PLTR 2.0. All right, last week for Hood, it was this week right here, and this week, if you gap down, I was looking for you to squeeze on up, and if you print that bullish engulfing candlestick, the next week's probably also going to be green, and that's what you have over here on Hood, guys. You know, it's literally right here. This is that week we just went over. The next week is probably also going to be a good one. I saw July and September calls come in, about 3 mil on those July calls. I am just saying we are probably going to see 60 plus over here on Hood, and I would argue that we're probably going to see 70 plus in the end. You just got to be patient on it. All right. But congrats if you played it. Start taking your profits, guys. This was the exact move, and we hit the target all in one day. If you do not have good levels that are giving you your reactions, if you are having trouble in this market, feel free to click the link below. You can come trade with me. I will be live every single day. And I give you alerts and entries on my personal trades. And, you know, we nailed Hood over here, and we got the sell near high of day today. And high of day, you know, it was literally 54.84. Do you guys see that level right here? 54.84. That's what you get, all right? So if your levels are not giving you the clean price action that you're looking for, so you can follow along with things, okay, I give you guys everything you need for absolutely no cost to you right here on this channel. If you want a little more hands-on approach there, and you want everything pretty much hand delivered to you every single day, and then you could follow along with me trading in real time. That link is down below. You can come join the Discord for that. But, you know, just follow along with the levels I give you guys here on this channel. I make a video 5 days a week here for 4 of the trading sessions every single week. And then 1 weekly update giving you guys trade ideas going into the week. This is the main one we were watching for. Okay. The other one, NVIDIA, guys, it already got its pop. Okay, got its pop, and I think it's going to continue going, all right? So we went over SPY and QQQ there, and I'm actually, just before we move on from the indices, I'm going to just point out, IWM, does this thing look like something that's necessarily so bearish to you? Not really to me, okay? Not really to me. We did get quite a few, you know, puts sold right there. 9 seconds, it was actually like 414, 49. So, you know, 51, 414, 51 is when all of these came in. We just got millions of puts being sold over here in IWM for, you know, May 16, June. I think they were 606 and 620. And then I think we also had July puts come in over here, and they were 240 put. You know, and someone over there, guys, you know, I'm not saying IWM gets a big pop, but, you know, when these things come in, that trader's probably planning on buying back that premium that he just collected for cheaper. All right. So, you know, that tells us, hey, there's a big guy in the water after hours. Didn't want to alert, you know, didn't want to alert anyone intraday here. So he did things right before close there and after hours. And, you know, I don't think things are going to be so bad. Now, on top of that, guys, we did have MSTR calls being swept for next week's expiration. You know, that is, or not being swept. Over here, they were being sold over here for next week's expiration. So this is another one that, you know, even if it goes higher in the short term, there is a big whale in the water betting that this thing is going to be under the current price by next week. So he can be, you know, getting that premium back at a cheaper price. But, you know, I'm just going to say over here, guys, Bitcoin is exploding. The, you know, miners, the Bitcoin stocks, be taking profits on everything. Everything's playing out here. We're getting fall through on setups. Be taking profits here in this market, because we are definitely coming into that spot that we were going to be looking for sellers. You know, here on QQQ, it was literally right here where we are. It's going to be one or the other. 200 daily moving average. They're both in the golden pockets now. You know, everybody wanted to short the whole. Yeah, all right. You know, it's pretty obvious what was going on here. And, you know, now everything is flipped back to bullish. We are in an uptrend over here in the daily time frame. But we're just coming into an area here where we were going to be looking for sellers here. I think it's still going to go a little bit higher, maybe 500 over here on QQQ. But I don't think we're going much higher than that. So let me dive into why I think we are likely going to be continuing a bit higher. First of all, you know, there are a lot of charts getting a lot of fall through right now. Like it just showed you Hood. This doesn't typically happen in these trappy kind of markets where we're not going to be, you know, like we have a trending market going right now. I'm telling you, we have the signs that we have the trending market going on right now. I don't think it's coming to an end yet. It can, but you know, we'll know about it, and I'll let you guys know about it when it happens. But it's not right now. Tesla, you know, this thing, all it needs to do is break above 294.86. This thing's gonna squeeze. Okay, you know, I know you sold off here, but you know, if the market does want to gap and go tomorrow, Tesla is, you know, prime candidate over here for a Lotto Friday. Okay, so this is something that 300C, I think they're going for $100. You know, even after it sold today, if this thing wants to squeeze, it's going to do it tomorrow. All right, so this weekly candle barely has moved. This is a very tight, you know, 2-week candle right here. We got, this is a full-on inside bar on the last weekly candle. I think this thing can move on a Friday. So automatically, you know, if this thing starts going, that's positive pressure on the NASDAQ. Let's come over here to the other Mag 7 stocks that are showing some strength, all right? Amazon, I know you just popped your head above 192.65 over here. You know, above here, guys, this looks very constructive. It can very easily pop up 200 daily moving average. Do you see what's happening over here with our cloud over here in the daily time frame? You see how it's been just red all the time? It's just been red the whole way down. We just got it to flip green. This is so much like so little relief compared to all of this. I think we have a bit more upside over here. I think that's what the weekly and the daily time frame suggests. That 200 daily moving average, it's sitting right above. All right, so that's number 2 there. We got Tesla, we got Amazon, we got NVIDIA over here. This thing just popped out above 115.10. All right, so you know, whether this was all base here and we're looking for an equivalent move, that's irrelevant. Let's just take the literal, you know, just if this is a cup and handle pattern, let's just take the cup. All right, this is $4.50, guys. This is the breakout. We haven't even gone $4. All right, I think it's very likely we are going to be continuing higher from here. You know, we can sell from a little further down, but if we do get a green day tomorrow, then yeah, this is going to turn into a bullish weekly candlestick. Maybe it gets up here 121, 122. And then at that point, we're going to test that 200 daily moving average early next week. I think we could start selling next week, but you know, we got the pullback at the beginning of the week, and now we are starting to push into the end of the week. I think it's more likely that we push now. All right, you know, typically you get a reversal and then you continue going in that, you know, in that direction. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's how we're expecting it this week. Either we're going to get that pop into SPY's 200 daily moving average by, you know, before FOMC. We're probably going to fall into the end of the week, or we're going to fall into that event and probably going to end up bouncing off it. We fell into it and we started bouncing off it, and we're still just right underneath that next area of interest, which I just think it has so much confluence. It's very likely we are going to test it. And along with, you know, that, we have those Mag 7 setups. Just we probably are going to be getting further upside. All right, so now we're talking Tesla, Amazon, NVIDIA, Microsoft. All right, today it started breaking up above the, you know, little 4-day range it's got going over here. Top was 439.50. I know how it closed over here, but if this thing just gaps up and starts taking out this high, that is a recipe for it getting all the way up to 448.38. More fuel for the NASDAQ. We will see about it, but we'll see. I'll just point out the weekly candle. It's so tiny right here, okay? So, you know, either it's going to do that, and next week we're going to come, like if it closes out like this, guys, you know, it could go either way. It could easily be one of these candles right here where, you know, the following week we get a little pop and then it starts dropping. But if it's going to really start moving, it's going to be tomorrow that really expands that candlestick. So, same situation as Tesla over there. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But if it happens, yeah, I mean, the NASDAQ is just going to continue higher. There's just so much fuel right here. We have 3 out of 7 Mag 7 stocks with the bullish setup. And then these other ones, they look like, you know, again, you just started flipping these clouds back to bullish. You've had so much downside. You barely have had some relief here. You know, Meta, if it really even pulls back to 580 here, I'm gonna just be looking for buyers to step in over here. This is at the 200 daily moving average. You're gonna have the daily 21 EMA over here. You know, I think it would just go like that, and then you're prolonging this sell that we're talking about. And I think it's much more likely we're gonna get this little pop either tomorrow or beginning next week. If we start really drastically selling tomorrow and we follow, you know, the bearish game plan we laid out over there on SPY and QQQ, and everything we're talking about invalidates, then, you know, the thesis changed. That's just part of being a trader. All right. But as of right now, this is definitely where, you know, I'm saying things are leaning. Apple can easily pivot off of, you see all the buyers trying to defend this area. This low can easily hold, and we start pivoting off of this. If we can get above 265, then we know this is probably starting to head up here to 203.51. Get above there, you're back above the 21 DMA, daily moving average. Come over to GOOG. You got an inside day today. Of course, you know, you got that massive move down yesterday. People are saying to buy the dip over here. I am just going to paint a picture for this. I don't think it's a good idea to just be really bullish on GOOG. I know people might like the company. It might be a really fundamentally strong Mag 7 stock over here. Okay, you might really like it, but this could just be a break and retest. You're going to have a much better time just longing the leaders than longing the, you know, the laggers. And this is definitely one showing weakness when the market, you know, was showing a lot of strength yesterday, okay, and today. And I know we massively just rug pulled into the end of the day. That's exactly what happened over here. We had a really good look going on. You know, they were either going to do it or they weren't. It was either going to hold right here or they were going to dump it. They ended up dumping it through this. Okay, so you know, this was the exact setup we called out, you know, coming into the day. I'll just, you know, come back over here to QQQ. All right, we were watching for buyers to defend over here at that high of day, or we were likely going to come back and retest that level. We just missed it, but we, you know, we're looking for this exact spot over here. And then, yeah, we had this triple, quadruple bullish divergence over here on the 5-minute time frame, guys. You know, this was the exact setup. Sometimes it's just picture perfect and it's just absolutely beautiful, and I love it. Okay. Sometimes it's not. Most of the times it's not. This morning, guys, this was the only trade I was really preparing for today. You know, I was preparing for just hitting this over here. I had a doctor's appointment today, so I was, you know, planning on just catching this on stream this morning, hopefully right before I had to leave for the doctor appointment. All right, I had to leave somewhere over here, but I gave the alert out right over here that, you know, don't be chasing this thing short over here. This is probably around the, you know, where it's going to reverse it from. And then, yeah, we got some God candles going on here. And then, you know, that was the whole trade. That was, you know, really the only trade. I didn't want to chase this thing short. I just wanted to take this one trade. And, you know, typically we get 1 to 2 very clean setups each day. And you can catch that, okay? And the plan was to come back later in the day after we pulled back from the impulsive move up, which, you know, that was right over here. We did catch a little over there, but as you can see, this thing absolutely fell flat on its face into close. And the second you broke under there, you knew that this thing was probably going to just continue falling. And from that point, we absolutely dumped. Okay, so they, you know, this could have been a really bullish look we had going into tomorrow. They did not let it close like that. But, you know, at the same time, this just kind of confirms what we were thinking, where, you know, the original thesis was, this is where on SPY and QQ, where we are going to be looking for sellers in between the 0.618 fib, which is right here at 563. And right over here at 575.35. I still think we are going to get a little bit higher up there, okay? So let's just go over some trade ideas to put them on your radar, right? First things first, hood, guys, pullbacks are going to be buying opportunities. That is just something I want to confirm there. But at the same time, you know, if you had the shorter term expirations, this is the exact move. We hit the target. The target was high of day, 54.84. That was the final target here for this trade here over here. You know, I personally got rid of May 16 calls, June calls. We're letting those guys ride. And I think that's really the ideal way to trade this. I think this is probably going to continue pushing over the next 1 to 2 weeks, potentially getting up to new highs. We're going to see how this goes. But, you know, this is a monster setup and this is a good company, and I will stand behind that. All right. Second thing we're going to go over here is CAVA, guys. CAVA can continue to push over 97.98 tomorrow and hit 98.69. Picture perfect break and retest. I put it on your radar coming into the week. And then also, you know, this is what I gave you when we were actually getting the pullback over here on Tuesday. And this thing has gotten bought up ever since. Only thing is you have to play weeklies over here because you have earnings next week and they're pricing in a big move. All right. Other than that, guys, HIMS over here. They announced an offering. From what I could tell, the offering doesn't come into effect until you break above all-time highs, pretty much, until you get above 70 per share. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really going to derail momentum all that much. I think you're probably going to get another day of pullback, maybe over to this 46.35 level, and then I think it probably gets bought up. All right, so keep it on your radar. Other than that, guys, you know, you had Carvana absolutely squeeze into new highs today. It didn't get much of a move off the overnight gap up, so premiums got crushed. And then, as we can see, we got real heavy volume intraday that pushed you all the way up into a new all-time high. Well, not a new all-time high, but new highs that we haven't seen in a very long time. This was 2021. So yeah, 292.84. That was taken out today. If price pulls back, we know that it's very, it's not common that we're going to top like that, which, this is kind of one of the reasons I don't think we're just going to top like this. How we got this look over here, SPY QQQ. This is a very, we didn't really go anywhere right there. And then you come over here to something like IWM, and it has that same look, except like this. I'm telling you guys, this is like, we didn't get relief for the whole move down. That's all I'm saying. We didn't get any relief for the whole entire move down. I think it's likely we get a bit more over here. Is it, another bear market like we have? It can turn out to be. I don't think it's gonna with how things are shaping up, but we'll see. We will see. But other than that, you got bros over here. This is one I was just seeing on Twitter, and I did not end up taking it, but I did end up mentioning it over here coming into the day, and I think I gave it to you guys in yesterday's video. This had earnings over here, and as we could see, you didn't move off of earnings, and you squeeze above the trend line, and you just started squeezing from this point. Now it's above the last high over here on the daily time frame. And yeah, I mean, you don't really have much until you really start pushing up here, up towards 70 bucks on this chart. So yeah, I do have to assume this thing is going to be seeing, decently higher numbers here. I'm just going to mark this up right here for us. All right, so above 64.28, we really can push all the way up to 68.47. And I think this thing's going to do it, guys. This thing still has a ways to go for the golden pockets up by 70 bucks. So yeah, keep it on your radar. I think it just started moving. This was definitely a big mover over here. I think this is the reversal process, and you could really have a trend line going all the way over here too. And this was just breaking retest. But yeah, I mean, this thing's looking real clean to me. Other than that, we got cost breaking retest off of 995 to 1,000. That's what we're telling you guys to pay attention to in between this level and this level. We did end up seeing buyers defend there today. And I think it is likely going to make this move. Either tomorrow, it's going to gap up and get through here, or we are going to see it trade flat for the week here, print a very narrow range over here on the weekly candle. And then I think we're going to just start pushing next week. That is how I think this is going to go, one of two ways. But yeah, nonetheless, this is definitely bullish structure over here on the weekly, on the daily time frame. And I think this is about, I think you just swept the low and you're about to go up. That is that. So that is what I have for you guys today in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please remember to leave a like. I try and give you guys as much info as, it's all valuable info. Every single thing we talk about in these videos, like this is actionable. Everything we talk about is actionable. And I think that's what puts this channel apart from all these other channels, okay? YouTube algorithm hasn't seen that yet. I don't understand it, but please just help me make the YouTube. Let's force the YouTube algorithm to see that. Let's force it to just see, hey, this is what the people like. We like this more than the other channels, okay? Because the other channels don't provide this, actionable information every single day. All right, but we do. We're for the people. All right. If you want to come trade with me, I'll be live every day. Link will be down below. And other than that, everybody have a lovely rest of your night. I will catch y'all in the next one, which will be the weekly update. Peace.